Today we saw how we can use the interfaces and we can launch the browsers dynamically. Okay, now the next thing is out here in the Selenium commands. I'll make a new package, and next thing is we will learn about how to interact with the elements on the web page. Okay, once you have successfully opened the browser dynamically, okay, you can just change the variable over here, and you can open the browsers dynamically. After that, you can fire the regular Selenium commands. Okay, like we fired driver.get and get title and all, and we reach the web page. Okay, after reaching any web page, you would certainly like to interact with the elements on the web page. Okay, like for example,
Hello, Ashish.
yes, 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 tell me. I hope you are able to hear me clearly, right? So out here, suppose if I go to this website, zoho.com, it's a CRM, and suppose I have to go in for a simple example, that is, I have to say enter my username over here and click on the next button or something. Okay, so how do you interact with the elements on the web page, or you can do a free sign up on this web page? Okay, so how do you do that? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
Don Izu is not able to hear me. Okay, so once you are in this particular page, say I have to interact with the elements on the web page. So you need to understand the concept of page source for that. Okay, so if you right click anywhere on the page inside Chrome, okay, you will get the option inspect. This is a Chrome inspector, and this is a really informative tool. Okay, and you can switch to the dock to bottom view over here. Okay, now in Chrome inspector, you can inspect the elements and you can come to know about their HTML code. You click on this arrow. This is the arrow over here. Okay. And suppose if I move my mouse over email field, so I will get the HTML code corresponding to the email field that will be highlighted. Okay, so Selenium works on this HTML code. How do you inspect the browsers, other browsers? How do you inspect the elements in the other browsers? I will also come over to that. The easiest and the most, uh, informative is Chrome. Okay, now this page source remains the same across all the browsers. It is not like the page source will be different for an element in Chrome and it will be different on Mozilla or Edge. Look, Selenium, it works on the page source. All right. And obviously the websites they open the same way in all the browsers. So page source also remains the same. So you can inspect the elements in one browser and you can write a script which works for all the browsers. Okay. Now, before you actually move forward, you need to understand that in HTML there are tags and attributes. Okay. What do you mean by tags and attributes? I'll tell you. Hold on. Like for example, over here, suppose we'll take example of this input element. Okay, this element over here represents this email field. Okay, every element in HTML has a tag name. Whatever starts with the conical bracket over here, input is the tag name. And with the tag, there are many attributes. There can be 0 to any number of attributes. Like type is an attribute over here. Autofocus name is an attribute. Class is an attribute. Okay, tab index, ID. All these things are the attributes to this tag name. Okay, so there are multiple tags on the web page. For example, this is a div tag and it has got an ID attribute and a class attribute. So HTML as a language is all about tags and attributes, and with the help of these tags and attributes, you understand the page source and you interact with the element. Okay, for example, if I inspect this button, this is the sign up for free button. It is also a button with the tag name input, and there are many other attributes for this element. So we will be understanding the HTML elements first, and then we will be moving forward and writing the code to interact with those elements. Okay, so over here, let me just make a simple Excel file. I'll make it under your day 4 folder only. Okay, I'll make a new Excel file known as HTML elements. Okay, now hold on, let it open. Now every element on the web page, as I told you, has a tag name and some attributes. Now some of the attributes are mandatory attributes, that is they have to be there with that particular element. Okay, and some of the elements, some of the attributes are not mandatory. Okay, so let us see how it works actually. Right. So I will just make a few columns in the Excel known as element, tag name, mandatory attribute, and optional attributes. Okay, so these are the columns. So what all elements are there on the web page? So you have got normal text boxes, you have got buttons, radio buttons, you have got checkbox, then you have links on the web page. Right, you have a drop down. Right, you have the regular or you can say images on the web page. Okay, you have got the regular text. Right, so these are the general elements on the web page which are visible to you and you interact with them. Okay, so every element has a certain tag name and some mandatory attributes which will always be with that particular element and some optional attributes. Okay, with attributes and tag names, we go and identify the elements. For example, in case of a text box, if I look at a text box, the tag name will always be input. Okay, in case of a text box, you will always find any text box you take on any web page, the tag name would always be input. Okay, right. In case of a button or a radio button, for example, this is a sign up for free button. Okay, for button as well, the tag name is always input. For radio buttons and checkboxes also, I know from my experience, if you investigate them, you will always find the input tag. So these elements over here, these four elements, they have the same tag name, but they have different attributes. Like for example, if you have a email text box, okay, or any regular text box, you will always find this type attribute to email, or you will find type attribute equals to text. This type attribute is equal to text or email, like it will always be a text box. Okay, in case of a button, like we have sign up for free button, the type is submit. The type attribute in case of a button is equal to submit. In case of a radio button, you will have a type attribute and it will always be there. The value would be equal to radio. And in case of checkboxes, the type would be equal to checkbox. Okay, right. So the type attribute, it varies according to the element. All right, in case of links, for example, on this web page, you have, say, the login link on the top right side. A link will always have a tag name anchor A. A link will always start with the tag name A, anchor tag. And it will always have an attribute known as href. This href attribute will load the URL. Okay, whatever when you click on this link, okay, this particular URL will be loaded. You see the link tag opens over here, then you have the text in between and then it closes. And in the href attribute, the URL is there which will open when you click on this particular link. Right. So in case of a link, href is a mandatory attribute, hyperlink reference. Okay. In case of a drop down, right. For example, if you go to our website qtpselenium.com and if you click on say contact us, you will see this country drop down. If you right click on it and inspect it, a drop down will always have the tag name select. Okay. And under the select tag, there are multiple option tags. Each option tag represents a particular option in the drop down. Okay. So this select tag over here is tag name for drop down, but there is no mandatory or optional attributes for a drop down. Okay, you will not find them. Fine. In case of images, okay, say I go to facebook.com. If you look at, they don't have an image over here. No. Okay, suppose I go to this web page. On this web page, you have this Rediff Mail logo on top right side, top left side. Okay, if I look at this, then in case of an image, no, this is not an image. Hold on. Or this image. Yeah, in case of an image, the tag name is img. And there is always an attribute source which holds the URL from which the image will load. Okay, so out here, the tag name would be img for an image, and there will be a mandatory attribute source which actually represents the URL from which the image will load. And in case of a text box, there is no tag. In case of a regular text, you cannot specify the tag name. Sometimes it's para tag, div tag, span tag. Okay, h1, h2. So there are many tags. Okay, for a text. You cannot say that find text always lies in this particular tag name. Okay, and you will have you might have some mandatory attributes or you might not have. It's completely on the application. Okay. Now over here, apart from this mandatory attributes, you also have few optional attributes. Okay. For example, in case of a text box, you have an optional attribute named as, hold on. Sorry, sorry. You will have this name attribute or the ID attribute. Okay, if you have a name or a ID attribute, it or a class attribute, it becomes a little easy to identify the elements with Selenium. Okay, I'm taking the easiest example in the class right now. This element has a name attribute as well as a class attribute as well as an ID. ID and name are supposed to be unique for every element on the web page. Okay, so if an element has ID or a name, it really becomes easy to identify it. So optional attributes are like name, ID, and class. Class attribute, if it is there with an element, okay, for example, I have the class attribute over here, it becomes easy to identify the element, but it's not unique or something. Okay, I'll talk about the class attribute in detail in coming days, but name and ID,
Ashish, I have a doubt.
yeah,
Actually, in HTML, ID is a mandatory attribute, right? Which I
no,
just I'm assuming. If we have to work with the field, ID only we will search, right?
no, ID is not mandatory.
Okay.
Okay, not every element will have an ID. This is the login link on the top right side.
Okay.
It's not having an ID.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, these three are optional attributes. They
O-
might be there or they might not be there with the elements.
Okay.
Okay. If any element has ID or name, it makes the process of identifying that element with Selenium very easy.
Yes.
Okay. Class is something which also makes your work easy, but class is not unique generally. But if an element is having an ID or a name, you can assume that it's unique. No other element on the web page would have it. Okay. Now, how do we use these things over here, whatever I've taught you, to identify the elements? Now, first of all, if you talk about other browsers, like for example, you talk about Mozilla, how do you inspect the elements in Mozilla? Okay, Mozilla has got its own inspector. Okay, look, I prefer to use Chrome. It's quite lightweight and it's got a lot of features. If you investigate the same web page on any browser, you will have the same source code and you will get the same tags and same mandatory attributes and optional attributes for the elements. Okay, see, in case of Mozilla, if I go to zoho.com, okay, right, and just a minute, this thing is hanging. Just a minute. Okay, this thing has hanged my PC. Yeah, so in case of Mozilla, say if I go to the same link, free sign up, right, and I investigate the web page, I can just right click on the element and you will get the option inspect. So if I inspect the element on Mozilla, you will have the same kind of a window. Okay, there is slight difference and you can click on this arrow, move the element, move over to the element and you will have the same element and same ID and same type attribute, name attribute. Okay, right. So what I prefer is in case of Edge also you can right click and inspect elements. On any browser you can right click and inspect the elements. I prefer is that I prefer to use Chrome. Okay, it's lightweight and it's got a lot of more features as well, which you will come to know with time. Okay, now how do you write the code? Okay, if you go to the official website, which is selenium.dev, go to the download section and go to the API docs for Java. Okay, now I had told you that day that there is an interface known as web element. Web element interface, it represents the general HTML element on the web page. All the elements on the web page are actually known as web elements. These all are web elements. Don't confuse this with web element of UFT or QTP. If you have studied that, that is different thing. Okay, so this is the web element interface and it's got all the methods, okay, all the method calls which can be done on any element on the web page. Like if you have to click on the element or if you have to check whether the element is displayed, if you want to get the text of the element, get text, right? So you have to extract the web elements. All right. And there is an interface known as WebDriver as well, which we had actually studied, and all these classes were the implementing classes. Okay, now if you look at the WebDriver interface, there is a function in it known as find element. In WebDriver interface, there is a function known as find element. So this function will be there in all the implementing classes, find element function. This finds the first web element. Okay, so if you just look at the code which we wrote that day, and I'll just copy this code, this file into day 4. Okay, And once you are there on a website, say I navigate to Zoho sign up page, and you have to interact with the elements on the web page. So you will give the command driver dot, you will get the command find element, which I just told you. So this command will go and find the element with some criteria. Okay, the criteria is defined by an internal class. This class is known as the by class. Okay, if you look at the documentation, driver.find element, the by some criteria, there is a by class. Okay, if I click on it, see this is the class by. This is really nice one, and it's basically having the mechanisms used to locate the elements within a document. Document means the HTML web page. If you just understand the first line of this class, it has got the mechanisms with which you identify the elements on the web page. Like for example, you identify it with by ID, or you can identify by link text or by name. Okay, by the partial link text. And there are a few other things like XPath or CSS selector or class name. So these all are the mechanisms with which you can identify the elements on the web page, and we are going to study one by one. Right now I am interested in ID and name because they are the simplest ones. Okay, so if you write over here by which criteria, by dot, everything in this class is static. All these functions are static. You can directly call them with the class name. Okay, driver dot find element by which criteria? Okay, by which criteria do you have to find the elements on the web page? I can say by the ID. Okay, and you can give the ID of your element, say the email field. The ID is email field. So this will go and find the web element corresponding to the email field. Okay, this function returns you reference of the web element interface. Okay, find element function. This find element function returns you web element reference. Okay, so it basically extracts the web element and okay, so it will give you the web element, say email. I'll call it email. You can import your web element as well interface. Now, what do you want to do with this email field? Email dot, you will get lot of options which can be performed on any element on the web page. Okay, if I say want to type into it, the function is send keys. Send keys function will type inside a web element. So if I just go and write over here and run this code, so you see that it's opening Mozilla actually, and it goes to the web page and see that it's typed the username email. Okay, the interesting fact is that I investigated the web page on Chrome and executed this script on Mozilla. Okay, because the page source remains the same, the ID will remain the same. It will work on any other browser as well. Okay, you investigate the page in Chrome and you can just change the browser name and you can run the script on any other browser as well. Okay, similarly, you have, say, the password field. Okay, so you can identify the password. Password field also has an ID. It has a name as well. So I can identify the password field with the name password. So I can write over here driver dot find element by the name. This is the name. And this will return you the web element corresponding to the password field. Okay. And you can write password, sorry, password dot send keys, put up any password and you can, if you run this, it will run. So I'm identifying one element with ID and I'm identifying the other element with the name. Okay, so you see that it enters the username and password, right? And you know, it is not that you have to write these two lines for every element. Okay, for interacting with one element on the web page, I'm writing two lines. I'm first extracting the element and then I'm using it. Then extracting and then I'm using it. Okay, I can also, hold on, I'll comment this. I can write in one line. Okay, that is driver dot find element by the criteria dot send keys. Okay, and you can probably type me. Okay, similarly driver dot find element by the password field dot send keys. So the execution starts from left to right. Okay, first driver dot find element is executed, the web element is extracted. Okay, on that web element, we fire the send keys function. Okay. Now this is the most easiest way to identify the element if the element is having an ID or a name. Okay, there is another criteria which I had told you, class. Now, first of all, you need to understand what this class is. And if you understand the class attribute, it will help you further in understanding CSS selectors and all that stuff. Class is the CSS class. CSS means something which look and feel to the element on the web page. Okay. Uh, for example, if I look at this button, sign up for free. This button is there, right? This is the HTML code corresponding to this button. Okay. You see the class of this button is sign up button. This class is actually made by the developer and uh, these are the CSS styles, okay, which the developer has made. All right. And for example, just a minute. Uh, just a minute. Let me take up some other web page, like for example, in.rediff.com. And over here, I will go to the hold on, shopping section. Okay, let me take up an easier and a more understandable example. Say, for example, there are different buy now buttons on the web page. Okay, all the buy now buttons have the same look and feel. Any element which has the same look and feel across the web page will certainly have the same class. See, the first buy now button is something with the class product buy now. If you look at the second buy now button, it's got the class product buy now as well. Okay, all the elements on the web page which have the same look and feel, they will have the same class. This class attribute product buy now, you will be able to see in the style sheet on the right side. Okay, these are the properties of this button defined by the developer. Okay, that this is the background color, this is the width of the button, height of the button with this particular class. Any element with this particular class would have these properties. If I uncheck them, you will see the look and feel of the buttons will change on the web page. Okay, so you don't need to understand styles that much on the right side. Only thing you need to understand is that class is something which gives look and feel to the element on the web page, and class is something which is not unique. Multiple elements on the web page can have the same class. Okay, so two things you need to understand. Class defines look and feel of the element, and multiple elements can have same class. Okay, if you're not able to understand at any point of time, you can let me know. All right. So these are the buttons, or for example, this text over here, rupees 799. This is the class deal price, and this is the deal price class. Okay, with this orange color. So all the prices over here would have the same particular class. If I change the color of the deal price from here to red, so all of them will change to red. Okay, right. So anyways, that's not my motive. My motive is to tell you that there is something known as driver dot find element by the class name option as well. But you have to be very careful, and I avoid using this option because obviously class name is not unique. Okay, sometimes you get unique class names as well. Okay, for example, if I go to the website flipkart.com, over here, this is the login page which comes up. If I inspect this page, if I look at the email field, the email field has got this particular class name. Okay, now actually this is not one class. This actually represents two classes. See, the class name for this element is first this word is there, then there is a space, and then there is another word. Okay, look, these are two different classes. Underscore 2ZRPKA. This is the particular class. And the other one, underscore 1DBPZ, that one would somewhere be over here. But if there is a space in the class name, please understand that there are two different CSS classes associated with this element. Each class name defines some properties or some, look and feel to the element. If I remove one of them from here, okay, the element would change a little bit. If I remove both of them, you see the email field has completely gone for a toss. Right. So there are two different class names for this element over this class attribute talking like that. I am assuming there is no particular element on the web page which is having these two classes apart from this other element. So if I try to write the code over here, if I write over here driver.find element by the class name and I give these two classes dot say send keys and I try to type something into that element. Okay, I comment out both of these and I will have to change the URL as well. Okay, I will have to go to flipkart.com.
Ashish, one question.
Yeah.
So basically, if we put the class name as the identifier, and tomorrow the developer can add one more field like that, the same.
Yes.
Okay. So
Developer
then
can do
not
anything. He can change the ID as well. So you
okay.
can't. Yeah. So that's something you have to adjust to.
Okay.
So, but once the application is stable, nothing changes like that. Okay. So if you run this, then you see it goes to Flipkart and you get an exception actually. Okay. Invalid selector exception. Basically, invalid selector exception, it means that this is not a valid class name. Look, you are saying identify the element with this particular class name, but there are two different classes over here. Okay, so Selenium will not identify this. Had there been no space, okay, had there been just one class name continuously with no space, Selenium would have identified it if it was unique or something. So we don't prefer, I don't personally prefer to identify the elements with the class name over here like this, because class is first of all not unique. And secondly, one element can have multiple classes. You just have to put a space. So then this element will have four classes and this command only takes one class name. So there are other better ways to identify the elements with the class names. And I will tell you about that as well with time. Okay. Similarly, you have got other identifying criterias. Like for example, this is the link forgot. Okay. You can identify the elements based on the link text as well. This is the forgot link. Okay. So you can also write like this driver dot find element by the link text forgot dot click. So these are very easy ways to find the elements ID, name, link text. So there are many identification criterias ID, link text, name. You can also have partial link text. Instead of giving the full link, you can give partial link, but it should be unique. Okay. Tag name. Tag name is nothing but which I told you that every element has a particular tag. But tag name is not also something which is unique. There can be multiple tags on the web page. Like for example, there can be an anchor tag. There can be many anchor tags on the web page. Okay, but how do we use this? I'll come over to this with coming time. So these are the three most easiest ways to identify the elements. Class name is tricky. Okay, and I don't prefer to use it. And you have got two very important other criterias. One is CSS selector and the other path, other thing is XPath. So there are some other identifying criterias as well. CSS selectors and XPaths. Look, not every element on the web page can have an ID or a name. Okay, on this Flipkart web page, you can't expect the developer to give ID or a name to every element. Like for example, this is the element real time, some, I think a phone or something, right? So this particular element, just a minute, it's not, yeah. This particular element is not having an ID. Although it has a class, but class is not unique. So you cannot just go and identify it directly. You will have to use uh, either XPaths or CSS selectors to identify this element. Okay, I'll talk about XPaths or CSS selectors. Right. Now, moreover, at times people they ask that, or it come there are situations wherein you get two elements with the same ID. It should not happen that on a web page there are multiple elements with the same ID. In case of mobile apps, when you use Appium, you get multiple elements with same ID, but in web apps, web application, website, you should not have two elements with the same ID. However, if you get two elements with the same ID, how will Selenium react? Okay, look, you need to understand how Selenium works. Selenium works and extracts the web page, the elements on the web page from top left to right. It scans the page like this and it goes down. Okay, if there are two elements on the web page who have the same ID, say there is an element over here and there is an element over here. Both these elements have the same ID. Then by default, Selenium will use the first one and it will ignore the second one. Okay, so Selenium scans the page from top left corner, which is 0, 0. Actually, in Access, this top left corner is having coordinates 0, 0. The coordinates they increase towards the right and the bottom side. Okay, it's not the x-axis is towards the right side and from here, and the y-axis is towards the bottom. Okay, so if a element is having coordinates on the web page like 100, 400, so you can expect it towards the bottom of the web page. Okay, we'll see the coordinates as well. But yes, it starts from 0, 0 and it goes towards the left side to the bottom of the page. And if two elements have the same ID, it will use the first one. What if you have to use the second one? There are ways to do that as well. I will talk about it. But yes, right now you understand that Selenium will use the first one. If you look at the documentation as well. Did I close that? Hold on. Yeah, I guess. If you look at the Selenium website as well, and you look at the API docs, in the API docs under WebDriver, right? You will be able to see the find element function. It's clearly written finds the first web element. Okay. What do you mean by first? That is, if there are multiple elements with the same criteria on the web page, not just ID, by any other locator strategy. Okay, all these are the locator strategies by the ID, by the name, by the class name, link text. If by any locator strategy you end up finding duplicate elements, Selenium will use the first one. Okay, now moving ahead, what do you mean by XPaths or CSS selectors? These are some things which identify the elements on the web page uniquely. Like, for example, let's talk about XPaths first. For example, you have an address. That address uniquely identifies you. If somebody posts you a letter, that letter will reach your house through, routing, and it, just because you have a unique address. So similarly, XPath is like the address of an element on the web page. Every element on the web page can have a unique XPath. Okay, we will talk about XPaths in detail in tomorrow's class, not today's. Okay, it's a big topic. Okay, and moreover, I need to talk about Java constructors as well. That what constructors are there in Java and how they help us. Okay, so I'm gonna stop for today over here. And if you have any questions, you can please feel free to ask me.
One question.